Right, hello everybody. For those who haven't met me, I'm Nigel Peters. So I'm a full stack developer and I've been using Expression Engine since version 2. And I think one of the things I've just loved is its ability just to be so easy and straightforward to use. My background has been I started as a graphic designer and I've always been quite passionate about brand and brand consistency. And that's kind of like an energy that I've carried over into my web development work. And I think we live in an era now where the technology and the frameworks that are available, they're all very much about component-driven development and aiding this kind of like consistency. We've got designer tools such as Figma, which really push design systems and this idea of components. And then we've got frameworks like Tailwind CSS, Vue.js, React.js, and even some of the tools that I'm going to talk about in Laravel. They're all pushing this sort of like consistent component design, and I love it because it just creates this smooth flow of development from between design through to development. So with the announcement of Coilpack, I was really excited about it because it just opened up the world of then Laravel, where we've got these existing tools in Laravel, such as like the templates libraries, which just help make, well, for me, I think just help make this whole thing work. So what I wanted to kind of briefly talk about is my little journey with Coilpack and Expression Engine. And I guess I kind of realized while I've been using it, there are different levels of how I've integrated it and tried to use it in my work. So yeah, I guess I've got like 3 levels where I'll call it your basic. You've got your mid kind of just standard integration, and then something where I wanted to push the boundaries a bit, because I think while we love Expression Engine, there's moments where we do need to compete in the marketplace and we need to add a few extra skills to our bows. And I think Coilpack helps us do that. So this is quite originally my personal website, nigelpeters.com. And I just had a simple page where I just wanted some blog articles. So it doesn't look like anything particularly amazing. But if we delve into some code, I guess actually probably would be easier to show you what Expression Engine looks like from the back end. And the general vibe, if you've not looked at Coilpack, is your Expression Engine environment experience, it's going to be consistent throughout, and that's really nice. I don't know if anybody has paid attention and seen that fluid fields, they've now got like a fluid field group sort of capability. That is really fantastic because then it means you can start creating these components within your control panel. And it kind of just gives you pages that look a little something like this. So I just have my block, my content of my pages just organized into these simple fluid field blocks for text, images. Really straightforward, still easy for your clients to work with. And then if we jump into what that looks like in my templates. So with Laravel, we now have the ability to use Blade templates. And it's just quite a simple syntax language. There are resources on a website called laracasts.com. And it's well worth, even if you don't think you're going to be a full head deep into Laravel, I think it's just really helpful to just get a familiarity with it, and the courses on there are really straightforward to follow. So I think zoom in, or maybe let me try just a bit larger. So yes, got a bit of blade here, and quite simply, I've got a call to our structure add-on that we're all familiar with. There's a slightly different structure in terms of how that's called, and the data just simply chucked out in a for each loop. I've got a conditional where for the content for my body content, kind of put out there. If it's an image, um, it's chucked out here as well. So really simple template. I can replicate that, and I've got a personal blog. Fantastic. Moving on to, I guess, a more advanced, bigger website. I have a client that I've worked with where they're a fabric company, and they're in the process of redesigning their website. So their website, I built it a few years ago in just Expression Engine. I think it was version 6 at the time. And while I've been maintaining it, I've been slowly updating Expression Engine in the background. And where there's been conversations about the needs of their business and what they want to do in terms of pushing themselves forward, Coil Pack just and being able to have like a Laravel environment sitting next to Expression Engine, I felt it just empowered me to be able to think about much bigger things that perhaps outside of the scope of what Expression Engine can do. So what I've been doing then is migrating the site over into a Coil Pack environment. Once again, my Expression Engine control panel, it's pretty much the same as you would expect. So we're using structure to organize pages. Because the layout of the pages is a bit more complex, we're using the bold-minded blocks EE add-on. And that's a fantastic add-on because then it just allows clients to still be able to organize pages without having to fiddle around with styles and layouts. So with Coil Pack then, what I have done in the templates is one of the things that I really like about using Blade is that it allows you to really fragment your source code. So I'm sure many of us are familiar with using EE blocks, and you've probably got like one template and it's got all of your blocks in it. And every time you add a block, it makes the file bigger and you kind of got to search for where it is. Using something like Blade or Twig, you can start to, you can change that paradigm and just have all of your individual blocks stored in individual files. And this is a process that I've used. So in my layouts folder, I have a file called content pages.html.blade. And this is the syntax that I use for calling each of the individual Blade, individual blocks components files here. I've got an include, and using a bit of interpolation, then the name of the block gets called, and then it references then a file which I've got in a folder over here on the left. So as you can see, there's a whole ton of different block components that are part of this website. So you can imagine what one single file would look like. Now I've got a nicely structured, organized folder. And I feel that just, yeah, puts my sanity. And I think the other thing, if you've got a project like this and you're getting the support of other developers, then it just makes their work experience a lot more fun as well, or not as painful. So that's my second level. The third level then was, I guess, a project that I've done for my agency that I used to work with. They went on a full rebrand. So the name of the agency is Wardour Communications. They're based in London. I kind of like call this a project, your dream project, because it was in-house. You've got everybody there. So you've got like content editors, you've got your designers, video editors. So it was a really nice collaborative project. Because it was, I guess, a website that we're trying to show off everything. I particularly wanted to show that not only can we create like a CMS-based website, but we can also use modern frameworks. So I was really keen to use a modern framework such as React or Vue.js. So the whole combination of Coilpack, Expression Engine, Laravel, it's allowed that to happen. So the front end of this website is developed using Vue.js. And Laravel in particular, there is a plugin that is used called Inertia.js. And basically what that does is if you are building a Laravel-based website, you can simply call your data from the model and then feed it into your Vue.js or React templates. Just going to pause. Is there anything that I've said that's perhaps baffling anybody, that perhaps anybody wants a bit of clarification on? Yeah? I thought I'd check in because I realised I'm kind of rattling on. So how this works in practice, again, the control panel, which keeps logging me out. What's happened? Let's see. That's it. So again, it's just to where are we going? It's just to show that your control panel, it doesn't change. It's all the same, all still the same familiar add-ons that you're used to. With this website, we're using EE blocks again to help organize the structure of the pages. But within the back end, looking at the code, things are slightly different. So whereas before I was using using the standard approach of using Expression Engine templates, because we're feeding this into a Vue.js front end, I opted to use just use Laravel roots and call Expression Engine models directly from controllers. So I do apologize if that's a bit too much techno babble. But hopefully those that are thinking about how far they can push Laravel and Coilpack will kind of see from what I've done what's possible. So for pages then, so we've got our Laravel roots file, and what I've done is created a particular controller which I call EE page controller. And what that does then, it will take the URL and send it off to certain different services that I've set up for calling page data and give me our inertia object, which gets passed over to our Vue.js front end. And I guess this might be my opportunity to kind of talk about a few of the struggles and pain points that I had with doing this approach, because essentially you're using the model service for Expression Engine. And I think perhaps at the time that I started using it, certain things weren't perhaps in place just yet, because I think I started on version 1. My biggest challenge was using EE blocks, and I did something really ugly, which I think I just pulled in a chunk of database queries from EE blocks just so that I can sort of patch it in there. And I don't think, yeah, I think a request would be, if you are creating an add-on, do consider coil pack, because it just makes it easier to pull data back and forth. So yeah, that's kind of like my 3 levels of using coil pack. So I don't know if anybody's got any little questions. Yes. So if you are making an EE add-on, I believe there's within the coil pack documentation, there are certain methods you can hook into. Yes, yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, yeah. So that's what I mean. But yeah.